Hi, and welcome to Reddit Files, where real stories cut deeper than fiction. Let's go into it.
This all happened about 3 years ago. I, F24 at the time, was together with my then boyfriend. He's now an ex, but it's unrelated to the story. M25 at the time, Chris. He had a work friend about the same age as us. Honestly, can't remember her exact age, but around 24, 25 at the time. Same as ours. Let's call her Dana. Since Chris worked as a delivery driver for a really big delivery company here in my country, I spent some of my free days just driving around in the passenger seat of his delivery van. We had fun, snacks, and music. I liked being a passenger princess. Dana was his colleague, also a delivery driver for the same company, doing the exact same job, just delivering packages to a different area in the city. They had become really good friends, just platonic, so some mornings when they waited for their vans to be loaded, I saw her around and eventually we started talking and really hit it off. All three of us started to hang out together. Dana was a real extrovert, loud, always laughing about everything, loved to be the center of attention, a little too much alcohol usage for every day, but I ain't a judge. Loved attention from men and all that. But at the same time, it was fun with her. She was a friend you could call and know that she would be down for whatever. We all went to car shows together, friend gatherings, swimming, fishing. My boyfriend loved it. We just hung out somewhere near, just driving around the city at night, etc. Sometimes me and her would talk about our experiences and relationships, drama, trauma, and all that. She and I shared some similar experiences and relationship and family trauma, so we really connected. To not make this longer, our trio became really good friends. A couple of months go by. Enter another character from Chris's work, Jack. Also the same job, also a car guy like my boyfriend, so he started to hang with us sometimes as well. If I'm not mistaken, they knew each other beforehand, and Chris got him a job there since it was great and the pay was pretty nice. Since they started working together, Chris and him would hang around pretty much every day around their cars. They both had BMWs and were practically married to their cars. Jack started to like Dana. She wasn't his usual type. He was more of a blonde, skinny, demure, girly girl kind of guy. And Dana was the exact opposite. Fire red hair, a noticeably big girl, and definitely not demure or girly. Her style was a lot of makeup, black see-through tops, and leather shorts. Now we're pretty much a four-person friend group, me and my boyfriend, Jack, and Dana. Jack was trying to get Dana's attention, and she was loving it. He would pay for her drinks, food, would take her on drives in his car. They're texting, meeting, stuff is happening. Me and my boyfriend are happy. It would be pretty cool if they got together. Me and Dana would also text and talk a lot in private without the boys. One evening when she's at our place, I asked how are things going with Jack. She opens up that she doesn't really like him. He's not her type at all, but she likes the attention, and he's really nice towards her. They go out and drive around practically every night, talking and such. She feels safe with him. He has openly expressed that he likes her and maybe would like something more. She is still, quote-unquote, thinking about that in his eyes, but her mind is pretty much set that nothing more is going to happen. I was kind of disappointed, not because she didn't like him. Frankly, I didn't care about that. You can't change the way you feel about a person. If you don't like someone romantically, that is completely fine, but I was disappointed because she let this just go on for this long, kind of stringing him along and not saying anything. I, of course, talked to Chris about this since we talked about everything. His opinion was to just let that conversation go. They will figure it out themselves. I'm on board with that. I also don't want to start any unnecessary drama. Not my place. So for the next month or so, me and Chris, we know nothing. Jack is sometimes asking Chris or me some questions, trying to get out of us some information, whether Dana likes him at all. And we just tell him that she doesn't really say much. And that was kind of true because after me and Dana talked about Jack that one time, we've never really brought it up again. We all just continued to hang out. When all of us were together, you would think that Dana and Jack were a couple, sometimes even more of a couple than me and Chris. They've kissed, but they weren't not officially together. Don't know about sex. Now, one evening, mine and Chris's phone is blowing up. It's Dana. She wants to meet. She sounded really distressed on the phone call. Okay, we jump in the car and go to her place. She comes outside her apartment building and jumps in our car. We see that she has been crying, makeup all smudged. She tells us that her boyfriend broke up with her. I didn't know she had a boyfriend, other than Jack, who could maybe be considered as one. But it turns out all this time she had a boyfriend. Let's call him Tom. Chris also knew nothing of that. He remembered that some time ago, before Jack was in the scene, Dana used to casually refer to dating their colleague Tom, but it never really went anywhere, and she stopped bringing him up. So he just assumed there was nothing there. And he and Tom are not really close at work. But in reality, she and Tom were fully together. She moved in with him and all that. They were together for 8 months. And now that Tom broke up with her, she has nowhere to go and is crying in our car and begging for our help, since she's now homeless. While she was crying in our car, she also opened up about other things in her life. She tells us that she is also leaving her job, that almost 2 weeks ago, she handed in her 2 weeks notice, and that she has to work only one more shift. She hated her job and was tired of it, so she decided to quit and search for another job. Tom told her he would support her in the meantime. Me and Chris, we both knew that she had issues with money. She had told us before, but we really didn't know the extent. According to her, when she was about 18 or something, her then boyfriend had taken multiple loans on her name, and she is still paying them off and pretty much living on nothing. She didn't exactly say how much, but after some beating around the bush, we gathered that it could be well over 10K. For us, that's a lot. So she's in big debt and has nowhere to live and no money and no job. At this moment, I really felt for this girl. Now, some context on me and my living situation, because it's important to the story. Before me and Chris were together, I used to live alone in an apartment. My dad bought it for me in the city if I ever went to college or something, so he let me live there while he lived elsewhere. I loved that apartment. It was small, 1 bedroom, not anything fancy, needed some work, but I don't really need much. When I started dating Chris, I kind of moved in with him without even noticing. You know how that happens. You pack a bag to stay with your boyfriend for a couple of days, and then you just never really leave. We just went there to grab my things once in a while and to water my plants, because I had a lot of plants at the time, so no one lived there in that apartment. I still paid all the bills, and most of my stuff was there. Bills were nothing much since no electricity or water was used, and I didn't have to pay any rent. My dad owned it. Now back to the story. I offered her to stay in my apartment. It was actually pretty logical for me. She could move in there. She wouldn't have to pay me any rent, just pay the utility bills, altogether about 100 euros a month, really cheap, water my plants once a week. She would have pretty much her own place. Even if she doesn't find a job right away, it's fine. She could pay me back those utility bills when she got back on her feet. We would think of something. I would let her stay for as long as she needs. She can fully live there, unpack with ease. I wouldn't have to go there. She can just live there, and it's all fine. I understand her situation. I've been in similar ones. I wanted to be a good friend and help. I tell her about my place. That's not a fancy apartment, but still okay. The furniture is old. Most of it is from the time I was a baby, so more than 20 years old. The fridge is 20 years old, but works wonderfully. It hasn't been renovated in a while, so walls and floor are not aesthetic in any way, but the furniture is actually nice. I have everything I need in life, and the kitchen is pretty cool. My favorite room. And I have a lot of plants, so it looks pretty nice. I did my best to make it feel like home. Also, me and Chris are pretty serious at this point, so I would feel safe if I moved in with him permanently. I was living with him for 6 or 7 months at that point anyway. I also told her some rules. If she decides to say yes, no smoking cigarettes inside. She did sometimes smoke them. No new people. Only 2 rules. I think both are pretty self-explanatory.
Maybe no new people would raise some questions, but I'm a pretty private person and I rarely bring someone I don't know to my apartment, since I know that she loves attention from men and occasional one-night stands. Plus, she has recently broken up with. I didn't want strange men in my apartment, just because it's still my home and some of my most important things are there. She took my offer and we talked about what needed to be done, so by tomorrow's evening, she and her stuff can be there. We took her to our place to stay the night, and the next day we went back to Tom's to get her stuff. She mostly sat around on Tom's bed and cried while I and Chris packed her stuff and took it to our cars. Then, with 2 cars and all of her stuff, we all went to my apartment. My apartment is on the 5th floor with no elevator. For me, it was never really an issue. Our first journey up the stairs, she already said some snarky stuff about it being on the 5th floor, and now she will have to walk flights of stairs every day. I just brushed it off. Mind you,
My apartment is on the 5th floor with no elevator. For me, it was never really an issue. Our first journey up the stairs, she already said some snarky stuff about it being on the 5th floor, and now she will have to walk flights of stairs every day. I just brushed it off. Mind you, she didn't even help us take her stuff up. She just went up and sat on my bed, still crying, still depressed. While she is sitting on the bed crying in stress eating a taco, I am doing some reorganizing. Taking my clothes out of the closet so she has closet space, cleaning out some drawers, all that. I packed most of my stuff away where it wouldn't get in the way of normal living. Chris is walking up and down the stairs with her stuff, plopping it all in a pile on the living room floor, exhausted. At this point, he has carried all her stuff up, 5th floor. I talk a little with Dana while she starts putting some stuff away and commenting on the sides of my apartment. A lot of snarky comments, but again, I brush it off. I tell her little about how to pay for utilities, ask her to water my plants once a week. We talk about keys. I only had 1 set, so Chris quickly ran to make another copy. Mail, cleaning stuff, all the things you would talk about when leaving someone to live in your apartment. I tell her to text me if she has any questions. After all that, me and Chris head back home. I text with her for the next couple of days. She seems fine. We periodically trying to get her out of the house, but she just comes once. We went for a drive. It was actually fun. I asked, how is everything with Jack? She tells me that everything is fine and they are still friends. From Chris, I knew that he told Jack everything. About Tom, about job, about moving. He was pretty shocked and disappointed, but didn't look surprised. After this, we all kind of started living our lives. Chris and Jack were still colleagues and friends and would meet up regularly. Me and Dana are talking every day. One night, I tell her I remembered that she could file for insolvency. Where we live, you can file for insolvency if you are in big debt and just can't pay it back. There are some rules, but I remember that she checked all the boxes, and in that case, her debt would all be wiped to almost nothing. She had to pay something, but it was comparatively nothing. To my surprise, she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to go through the hassle with lawyers and meetings and judge and all that. For the next couple of days, I tried to persuade her. I laid out all the positives. I Googled and found a good lawyer who offered a free consultation about that exact problem. She finally gave in and went to the consultation. And thanks to that consultation and some paperwork, she basically erased her debt. We knew that she and Jack are spending most of the evenings together. She told us about this great job that one of her friends got her in a pretty big company, and things start to look up. Sometimes we even go for a drive, go to McDonald's, or take a little trip together. One night we were all at a car meet where she got drunk, met a guy, and went home with him. For the record, I wouldn't have let her go anywhere with a random guy drunk, but she slipped away from me that night, and I couldn't do anything. Everything was fine, though. They went to his place and had a hookup. I get it. Recently single, I guess. Anyway, a little over a month goes by. One night, I look at my utility bills online, and I notice she hasn't paid. There are 2 invoices that she would have to pay, and both are still outstanding. One is pretty fresh, so that would be fine, but the other is already red. I text her to ask if she will do it, and when, because every day that you don't pay your red invoice, it grows. I notice she also hasn't paid for both electricity bills. I text. She doesn't answer. I see her online. That whole evening, she is online but not reading my message. It starts getting sketchy for me. I talk it out with Chris, and we decide to wait till tomorrow, but I already feel in my gut that some shit is about to go down. I just know that she is not going to pay me. Before any of you say anything, yes, it was my mistake for not signing any kind of lease or agreement with her. I know that, and I will never make this mistake again, and let this be a lesson to you as well. I should have signed some form of sublease agreement or something so that this situation could be avoided. But at the same time, I regret nothing. I saw her true colors and I got my revenge. The next day, no answer. I text again. The same thing happens. No response. Chris texts her. Also nothing. She is online on WhatsApp constantly, but doesn't read any of our messages. I start to worry. What do? I pay all bills so they don't get bigger, and I send her a message that I did so. Also, you now owe me, insert whatever amount that was. If I remember correctly, it was around 170 euros altogether. Still no response. For like a week. Well, that is all happening. Chris and Jack are living their regular lives as well, but one thing is different. Jack refuses to talk about Dana at all. Chris tries to throw in that Dana is being an a-hole for not responding to me about bills, but Jack does not have it. He just responds with, the girls will figure this out themselves. So Chris basically just lets it go. They continue working and meeting sometimes to help each other with their cars. 2 weeks go by. I'm caught up in work and I don't have time to deal with Dana's bill drama. I don't text her. She, quote, read all the messages on WhatsApp at some point, but didn't respond, which is what I kind of knew was going to happen. Weekend rolls by. Chris and I have a free day, and we decide to pay her a visit. She doesn't work on Saturdays, so we took a chance that she was going to be home. One thing from the time she moved in, I had to give her my set of keys because one of the keys that Chris ran to make didn't work, and we decided to get that sorted out later. My apartment door has 2 keys, one big one and one small one. The new big one was fine, but the new small one wouldn't even turn, so I just gave her my small one until she makes me a new one. We all kind of forgot about that since I didn't have to go there anyway. So we really took a chance by going there because I couldn't even get in my apartment. And of course, she wasn't home. Chris had an idea that we could postpone our visit till Monday when she gets off work. It's a bigger chance she is going to go home from work on Monday. On a Saturday, I wouldn't wait for her all night. She could be anywhere doing anything right now. And we're right. We go back on Monday. Chris parks somewhere else so she wouldn't see his car, and we wait in the stairwell. Her car rolls up right on time, and we put our game faces on. We hear steps coming up the stairs, and to our surprise, when she turns the corner, she's not alone. There's a guy right behind her. She sees us and is completely taken aback, but tries really hard to keep her composure. She says hi and asks us what we're doing here. Chris says that we were just going to check on some stuff, take some stuff with us, and check on my plants. That we couldn't get hold of her and just decided to stop by. She tells us that she's not here for long, that she needs to change outfits, and then she and whoever the fuck that was behind her is going to go. Leave some stuff to do. I'm fine with that. Let's go. We all go the remaining flights of stairs to my apartment. She unlocks it, and we all go in. I turn back, and I see that Chris shuts the door right in front of that dude who was completely sure that he's coming in with us. Yeah, right. Dana notices but says nothing. She knows. We go inside and look around. Of course, the place is a mess, but I kind of already knew that. I see an ashtray on the windowsill full of cigarette butts. On the coffee table, 2 cups, 2 wine glasses, 2 bowls. Most of my plants are almost dead. Of course, she had had that guy over. Of course, she was smoking cigarettes inside. Why the hell not? Dana starts changing and putting on more makeup. I stay pretty quiet, just walking around, watering my plants, looking at the damage, plotting revenge. Me and Chris had talked before that if all of our hunches about the bad things turned out true, we would not really say anything, but after visiting just set the plants in motion to change the locks, so we do just that. Chris casually mentions that I sent her the bills, and Dana says she's going to take a look at them. We talk some more, and everything is just overall awkward, more for her than us. When she's ready, we are all pretty much ready to leave. We all go out, she locks the apartment, and that guy is still waiting for her outside of the apartment. We say our bye-byes and get in our cars. They drive away.
We start plotting. I end up calling my dad, who kind of knew about the situation. I told him we needed to change the locks to the apartment. He told us what to buy, so we have everything ready, and he would drive up tomorrow to do it. The next day rolls up. Dana should be at work. Dad is on his way. He had to drive 2 hours, and everything else is bought and ready. We go to the apartment, and Dad opens the door with his keys. Everything is still the same, and my dad is really taken by surprise. He makes some totally understandable remarks and gets to changing the locks. I start cleaning the place and washing the dishes, and Chris helps. Since Dana won't be able to get in the apartment anymore, I wanted it clean. I don't want old food in the fridge, dirty dishes everywhere, and all the other mess. Her stuff, we'll worry about it later. Nothing important. I don't really live there at the moment. At the approximate time she'd be at the door, not being able to open it, Chris and I are at home and sat, phones in hand, waiting for Dana to call. To our surprise, Jack is calling Chris. He answers and puts it on speaker. Jack is asking why we changed the locks, that Dana's in complete distress since she can't get in the apartment and is left with her work purse, whatever she had on her person, and nothing. Jack and Chris talk for a while. Chris explains the situation, also mentioning the guy that has apparently been living there with her. We just found out through mutual friends that it was the same guy she got drunk with and left that night at the car meet, plus he'd been staying there for a while. Chris pretty much tells them everything, and Jack is just not having it. In his eyes, Dana could do such thing, and they apparently have been going out almost every evening and could be considered a couple now. His words. Chris and Jack finish up talking. Jack tells them that he's going to take Dana to his place for now, but that we really should figure this shit out because he is not taking her to move in with him. I could give 0 fucks. Later that night, Dana messages me and sends me
a really long paragraph, basically saying that she never agreed to pay anything, and that I am the a-hole for bringing up any bills and utilities out of the blue. She doesn't remember any conversations about her paying anything. That is why she never answered, because she didn't know what to say, and I was just asking for money now for no reason. And now I just changed locks without a reason, and she can't get home. She didn't do anything wrong and wants at least some of her stuff for now, and talk about getting the rest. I was really mad. Now I have to deal with gaslighting? But I knew what to do. I remembered a time where we, me, Chris, Dana, and Jack, were at McDonald's with a bunch of other friends. A good portion of the friend group all started talking about the fact that Dana recently moved in my place. Everyone was really happy that something worked out for Dana, and we all talked how it will be really easy for her to get on her feet by just paying the utilities at my place. We even discussed how my utilities were cheaper than everyone else's, since my apartment is not at the center of the city and is pretty small. Remembering this gave me an idea. I wasn't done with her. I didn't care that I now had everything she owns at my place and she can't get to it. I didn't care that she doesn't even have a change of clothes or her charger. I was more mad that she is now trying to gaslight me into believing that I never said she had to pay anything. So I made a group chat. Everyone who was at that table at McDonald's that night and a couple more of our mutual friends. Just for the fun, some BFs and GFs and such. And of course, Dana, Jack, and Chris. I think it was around 12 to 14 people in total. I sent a pretty long message, basically explaining the situation and asking about our conversation that night. Did I really say that Dana could live there for free? The group chat blew up. No one could believe what Dana did, and she was getting dragged. Everyone remembered our conversation, and some friends even remember Dana saying that she could maybe pay me something in rent when she gets back on her feet, not only utility bills. I end up sending some screenshots from mine and Dana's chat, some other receipts, and everyone is dragging Dana even more and more. Dana had already told some of those people that I locked her out, but didn't really say why. Also, this group chat reveals that she owes a lot of money to some of these friends. She asked them to help out because I was asking her to pay ungodly amounts for rent each month. Dana, of course, leaves the chat. Jack stays and reads everything, not contributing, just reading. Amongst those friends is also the girl, 28, that got Dana her new job. Let's call her Tina. We were not very close, but sometimes saw each other since our boyfriends are car guys. She is the most shocked and messages me privately.
She writes all the things Dana has been saying behind my back to whoever will listen. Those things you can most likely guess about the huge rent that I am asking from nowhere, that I won't leave her alone about the money, how we're trying to break her and Jack apart, all that stuff. Also, that I live in a dumpster of an apartment, there's no place for her stuff, everything there is old or broken, and that she has the burden of taking care of my plants. Me and Tina end up meeting, and she says she can actually get Dana fired if I wanted to. I say no, that would be a little too petty for me to do. As much as I hate her now, I was actually thinking of giving her all of her stuff back, because what would I do with it anyways? And I don't think I have the guts to leave a fellow girl with absolutely nothing. I actually was kind of sad for her. She doesn't have anywhere to go and absolutely no stuff on her name. A couple days pass. Chris and Jack meet at work, and Jack says that on the group chat night, she just drove away and blocked him. His eyes opened when he read everything, and it's a good thing he didn't even have a chance to see her after reading all that, because he would have lost it. The three of us meet and talk everything through. Now, some of his side of the story. Since the whole beginning, Dana never said anything about Tom. Of course, how could she? She behaved, talked, and acted like single. She had Jack wrapped pretty tight around her finger. She never told him where she lived exactly. Pickups and drop-offs were from the gas station near Tom's place, and managed to keep Tom, a relationship, and living with the man a secret until the move. We later found out that she told Tom that she was just out with friends. Tom broke up with her because someone, most likely Tom's friend who knew that they were together, had seen Dana and Jack together kissing and told him, and he already suspected cheating, so that was all he needed. She pretty much gaslighted Jack moving forward. When Jack asked about Tom just after they broke up, and she moved to my place, she reminded him that she explicitly never said she was single. She was in love with Jack, and she wanted to break up with Tom at that time anyways, just to be with Jack. She manipulated him into not talking about it with anyone. That is why he didn't want to hear anything about those bills at the time. Dana just dug up some lies that the situation changed anywhere and managed to keep the coast clear. When she moved into my place, they continued to meet about 3 to 4 times a week on evenings, just driving around and falling in love. But apparently Dana was not as much falling in love if we remember the random guy car meet incident. And Jack, of course, knew nothing at all. He was under the impression that they were slowly becoming a couple. And all that until the group chat night when all went to shit. He apologized for being a bad and completely blind friend. It's okay, buddy. Women can be bitches. Now, back to Dana and how she didn't get her shit back. To recap, some time has passed since the group cat night. None of her friends are speaking to her. Some just send her passive-aggressive texts and ask for their money back. She doesn't respond. We don't hear from her for 2 months. Chris, through some work colleagues, hears where Dana is living. It turns out that she contacted one of her ex-colleagues at Chris' work that was a pretty good friend of hers and begged for a place to stay. He, male, mid-30s, and his wife, female 27, have a house in the city, and the second floor is pretty much empty, so she is now living there. Let's call this couple Rachel and Ross, just for fun. Chris tells Ross that if Dana wants her stuff back, she has to come to our place, apologize, and tell us what the hell is going on with her. Because that is what I wanted to receive if I was to give her that stuff back. An apology and explanation. Because I could understand anything if you are truly sorry and understand what you did, and try to fix the whole thing. I still understand that Dana has not had an easy life, and that can really cause a person to do weird and awful stuff. Especially if she's in survival mode with depression and anxiety, and is just trying to find her way. Ross also spends some time with Chris talking about the apartment situation, and is really surprised to hear some of that stuff. He says Dana told them something, but not that, and he wants to talk a little to his wife before they make any decisions. He takes that conversation home, and a couple days later, we are invited to their house. We didn't know what was happening, so we just went there blindly. We didn't know if Dana was going to be there or not. She wasn't. Turns out after Ross came home and started asking questions, Dana took whatever new stuff she got herself, jumped in her car, and left. She didn't have much stuff, so moving out from there was pretty easy. Ross and Rachel wanted to know more about this situation, so they invited us over. They made us a nice dinner and we talked everything out. We told them the whole story and they were shocked. Dana had told them we broke her up with her boyfriend, and because of us, she doesn't have a place to stay. And the same story about the apartment that I changed the locks out of nowhere. I wanted her to pay me some crazy amount for rent each month, and when she couldn't, I just changed the locks, and now she has no stuff. They felt bad for her and invited her to live in their house on the second floor. It's empty anyways, with some basic furniture. Turns out that she did stupid things with them too. She would eat all of their food, not buying any. Rachel made dinner for everyone. Dana would eat more than half of it. Yes, she was a stress eater. Ross's snacks were gone. She would sometimes snarkily comment that he buys the things that she doesn't like. Since she had no stuff, she used a lot of Rachel's stuff. Toiletries, hair dryer, hair straightener and clothes, socks, shoes, nail polishes, towels, makeup, chargers, all that. One time she even left the hair straightener plugged in for a whole night and burned the wooden floor underneath it. Good thing the whole house didn't catch on fire. Ross and Rachel starting to see that Dana could be a problem and started talking with her. About the food, about coming home late at night and the loud music from the car when someone drops her back at the house. About the freaking straightener thing. She had drank everything from their bar and a lot of other small problems they were having. Dana didn't listen and continued, and the conversation that Ross and Chris had the first time, well, that put everything together for Ross, and he went home to confront her, and she just left. After that talk with Ross and Rachel, I realized she doesn't deserve her stuff back. I gave her an option. She could have just apologized to me and she could have her stuff back. But no, later that week, me and some friends from the group chat went to my place to pack it up and donate most of it. I kept nothing. And do you want to know how she lost her job? Her and Tina got into an argument at work related to all this, and she slashed Tina's tires. There was security camera footage, and the boss fired her immediately. Later, we found out that after that, she was living in a small shared apartment with 2 Indian guys. Sometimes I think that the whole thing was actually crazy for her, and she really was left with nothing and is living a crazy, crazy life now. But at the same time, I really did nothing wrong, and I'm kind of glad karma got to her.
Thanks for being here on Reddit Files. If this story spoke to you in any way, drop a comment below and tell us. What moment in this story hit you hardest? Or have you ever had a silent turning point in your own relationship that changed everything? Your stories matter too, and this community listens. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you know someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, stay kind, but never invisible.